What is up, everybody? Welcome to Comic Book Radio. I'm your host, Peter Cimetti. This is episode 97, and tonight my guest is Robert CLOTWORTHY, the voice of Ancient Aliens. You've asked, is it possible? Could it be? I'm butchering Robert's lines. It is possible, and it will be. He's on the show. It's gonna be a fun one. Before we get started and bring him on, I want to say hello to those in the chat. We got Johnny B. Casual here. What's up? H is for Heretic. How's it going? Levi Skeen in the house as well. Manny Cornejo is here. What's up, Manny? Randy Scribner in the chat. What's up, Shrek? Hope you're doing well. Thank you so much, Fritzy Schnitzel, for joining us tonight. Blake Powell is here too. What's up, Blake? Hope you're doing well. We got Eliza Barr in the chat. What's up, Eliza Barr? Conspiracies in Comics is here as well. What Geeks Do Network. What's up, my friend? Hope you're doing good. We also have Geronimo Draws in the house. What's up, Rob? Hope you're doing good, buddy. And Yan Zhao is here. What's up? Hope you're doing good, too. All right. And, have we found the aliens yet? I don't know. I think they're among us. I think they found us. But, hey, we'll talk to Robert about a bunch of those things and more. Without further ado, let's bring him on. The man of the hour, Mr. Robert CLOTWORTHY.
Hey, Peter. How's it going?
It's going great. How are you?
Good. I actually did a pretty good job on the is it possibles and the could it be's. I love to hear people say those lines.
Is it possible? Could
is
it be?
Is it possible?
Man, oh man. Iconic at this point in time.
Yeah,
Holy
it's funny
smokes.
how those two lines have become have become as iconic as they are, because it just started out as a few phrases in the script, and I kind of gave it my own little spin, and people responded to it. So yeah, it's kind of nice.
Yeah, and then of course there's the you know what I'm gonna say.
You got to say it. What do they and they don't always say yes. Sometimes they say no.
Yeah, right.
Sometimes they say
twice,
possibly.
I think, right?
Yeah, at least twice.
Yeah. Ancient astronaut theorists say yes.
I sometimes think that's the reason that I got the gig, because that's not an easy thing to say. Ancient astronaut theorists say. It's a lot of S's, a lot of T's. You can really stumble on it.
Yeah, there's a lot of room for error with that.
Yeah. It's a dangerous line to say. Very, very dangerous.
Now, the thing with that, it's similar to your talking voice, but still different. I've talked to a lot of different voice actors where you can tell the voice is in there, but it's not quite their voice. And sometimes, of course, it's very different. But for you, how'd you find the voice? Were you directed to go to that type of timbre?
I had worked for these producers in the past. We did the first thing I ever did for them was a documentary on the making of Star Wars called Empire of Dreams, the story of the making of the Star Wars trilogy, which was part of it was a 2-hour, actually 2.5 hour, I think, DVD that was included with the original DVD release of the episodes 4, 5, and 6 of Star Wars. And it was produced by George Lucas. He was involved with it. Everybody was in it. And so I did that. That was the first job I did for these producers that do Ancient Aliens. And when Ancient Aliens came about, they basically, offered it to me. And of course I said yes. And the difference in the way that I speak as opposed to when I'm doing it is, I think it's more the proximity. In fact, I'll give you an example, because the microphone is a little bit further away now, and I'm kind of projecting a little bit to get there. But when I'm doing Ancient Aliens, the microphone is it's like this close, and so it's almost like I'm whispering in your ear. I mean, imagine that this is your ear, and with a microphone you want to kind of put it out there. You have to have the energy going out. So it's just a matter of, is it possible? Could it be? What if it were true? Ancient astronaut theorists say yes. Now I've got my own little kind of weird. I'm gonna get this out of the way. Oh, looks like a spaceship, doesn't it? Kind of cool, kind of floating above my head like that. Um, it's so it's that more than anything else. It's because when you're watching the show, one of the things you want to do as a voiceover person is you want to make it as personal as possible. When somebody's listening, I'm speaking to just you, whoever it is. It may be a million other people that are watching at the same time, but I'm talking to just you. And it's like you're sitting next to me on the sofa, and we're just having a conversation.
Yeah.
And so my own little rhythm that I get into when I do the show, that's just me. I can't help it. It is what it is, but people tend to respond to it. And I have
It's
fun
like
doing it. I really do. I mean, if I was not on the show, I'd be a fan of the show, and I am a fan of the show.
it's a well-produced show.
It's an
Very much so.
excellently produced show. Yeah, the producers do a phenomenal job. I don't think that the quality of the presentation has diminished one bit from episode 1 to episode 250 or 60 or however deep we are into it right now, and it's a lot of episodes.
Yeah.
And when I go into the studio, I treat it as if it's my first day on the job. I mean, that's another thing. I don't just go there and just phone it in. I don't look at the script in advance. I don't want to read it in advance. I'm really good about picking the words off of the page, and I want to be affected by what it is that I'm saying. So if I find something interesting in the script, when I'm saying it, I really want you to kind of, as the audience, be as excited about it or as intrigued about it as I am. I mean, I will often read something and go, "Oh my, this is really cool. This is really cool," and I'm really excited about letting everybody else in on it and be a part of it. So that's part of, I guess, just my personality.
Anything
And
pop up in the script where you do a double take and you're like, I don't think that's
well,
possible.
I guess the biggest double take was the first time that the ancient astronauts, the theorists, said no. That was challenging. I honestly, I thought it was a typo in the script. I thought it was a mistake, and the producer said no, they really said no. And it's kind of funny because I've said ancient astronaut theorists say yes so many times that it's almost like muscle memory. I don't have to think about it
Yeah,
anymore.
yeah,
Just
you got that
it's
rhythm
like,
down.
what's your phone number? What's your social security number? You just go, oh, it's blah 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 blah. You just spit it out. What's your address? And for me to all of a sudden say no, I had to take a break. I had to kind of just like come to terms with the the immensity, the magnitude of what it is I was about to say. And
I know I caught one time where the question being posed was absolutely something they would not say yes to.
yeah,
And then it
yeah,
was like they said no. Well,
yeah.
like they're gonna say
That's
no to that. They really
sometimes
are.
that's what they'll do. Yeah, it'll be a question. And go, they're not going to say yes to this. So
Fritzy, we're not gonna put Robert to work tonight on that. We already got one for free. But who knows what the future may hold, man? I tell you,
well,
there's
I'll tell you what. It's right up there on the screen. So I'll say it. Here, Fritzy, this is for you. Oh, let me get the microphone down here because we got to do it right. Okay. Could you get Robert to read some prepared lines for King Cryptid? How about that?
amazing, amazing.
Now you're seeing how the sausage is made, right?
Exactly.
Peek
Yeah.
behind the curtain.
Well, it's a hell of a lot better of an experience than actually seeing sausage get made.
Yeah, really.
But it's funny because of the fact that Fritzy says that there's a thing in the King Cryptid universe called the New England Cryptid Research Organization, NECRO. It's a government cover-up agency for a cover-up of a cover-up. And they have case files. And I always thought, man, if I could one day do like an audiobook thing of the case files read by Robert Clotworthy, that would be incredible. But who knows? Maybe one day.
The only thing separating us from doing it is the cash. That's it. I'm there.
Exactly. Yeah.
No, I would love to. Are you kidding me? That'd be great.
That would be awesome. But man, so we talked a little bit about this before the show started. Now, I want to talk a lot about the ancient alien stuff, but I want to get back to what got you interested in not just voice acting, but even acting in general, because you've been a character actor in so many great things. You've worked with a lot of people. You've had
Oh
so many
man.
interesting experiences. How'd that all get started?
Yeah, I started when professionally acting when I was still in high school. So I was, I guess, 15 years old at the time. My father was an executive at an advertising agency, and he actually produced radio commercials. So I was around, and he was an actor in college. So I was around the business ever since I was a little kid. He would bring me into the recording studio quite often when he was doing sessions, and I would be around, the greatest voice actors of that time. Imagine, being a little kid. I mean, what was your favorite cartoon growing up?
I guess, and you worked on it, Batman the Animated Series.
Okay, Batman. All of a sudden, the actor that plays Batman is in the room with you. He's that voice, the one that you listen to all the time. And in comes Robin. Here, all the actors that are on the show are all of a sudden in front of you, and they're talking to you, and you're seeing them do other stuff as well, and they're all having an incredible amount of fun. There is this amazing creativity that's happening before your eyes. It can't help but inspire you. So it was something that I always wanted to do, and I was also at 15. You look at me now and you think, my goodness, this guy is just, won the genetic lottery. He's just so darn handsome. But as a kid,
Absolutely,
hard to
obviously.
believe, I was kind of a geeky, kind of freaky kid. I was skinny. I had, blonde hair, and I wore glasses. And for whatever reason, that was a popular look at that time in TV commercials and TV shows. So my father introduced me to a couple of casting directors that he knew, and they in turn introduced me to an agent, and I went down to a theater that he ran. It was really kind of amazing that he actually, and he specialized in working with younger people that were maybe kids like 5, 6 years old up to 18 years old, but that was his specialty. And he had a workshop where his his clients would come down and do improvisations. They would take singing classes. They do all kinds of stuff at this theater. And so he invited me down, and I did an improvisation with just a bunch of other kids. I mean, come on, it was just like another day at school. You just you know monkeying around.
Yeah, yeah.
And he came up to me and said, "Yeah, I'd really be interested in handling you." And I said, I had no idea what that meant. I went, "Well, talk to my dad." And he ended up signing me. First audition I went out for, a commercial I booked. The third audition I booked. Fifth, I mean, it was like off to the races right away. And from that, he was able to put me on all these different shows that were incredibly popular at that time. And that was it. Once you start going, for me, knock on wood, it just kept going, never really stopped. And it's funny, when I was 15 years old. I mean, imagine, you're 15 years old, and all of a sudden you're on television, you're making money, and your friends are you know they're still getting an allowance from their parents. That's about where it's at. And I'm getting some attention. All of a sudden, the girls are looking at you a little bit differently, and it was a ton of fun. But honestly, I'm having more fun now than when I was 15. And believe me, when I was 15, it was a lot of fun. It was great. But
That's great, man.
so I've been doing it for, well, let's see now, 10 years now, maybe a few more than that. But yeah, it's fun. That's how it all began.
Yeah, well, Ancient Aliens has become a phenomenon.
Yeah.
It's strange because there's been shows before like it. There was In Search of, there was
Hmm.
the Sightings in the '90s.
Yeah.
There's always been shows like that, but I think it's a whole combination. The people involved, the production of the show, your voiceover.
Yeah. What
It's
what do
like
you
the
what do you think
perfect
the secret
storm.
sauce? For you? What's the secret sauce? What do you, when you tune on the show? What's it that you go, oh yeah, I got to watch this? I always ask. I'm interested.
As strange as it is, okay, the first time I ever put it on, the thing that kept it on for me, other than the material, because I watch all that stuff,
Hmm.
but the thing that kept me watching, honestly, was your narration. And I'm not even just saying that because you're here.
Yeah.
You give it a sense of legitimacy, you give it a sense of seriousness. I don't know if DC's ever reached out to you, but you'd be a great voice for Brainiac.
Oh, okay.
It's you give it a sense of you trust what this dude is saying, and that you're along for the ride. And I know that there's a lot of people that feel that way too,
Yeah.
but for me personally, the reason why it just was easy to get absorbed right into it
Yeah.
had a
So
lot to do with your narration.
it wasn't Giorgio's hair. It was.
Giorgio's hair actually turned me off from the show for about 2 years.
It's interesting that you would say that because in voiceover we have what we call vocal signatures, and what a vocal signature is if an agent were to try to pitch you on a project, and the person, the client on the other side says, "Well, can you describe Robert?" And like, well, he's upbeat, he's funny, he's loose, he's cool. They have all these terms that they would come up with to describe that particular vocal signature that you have. And this one casting director, who I will be indebted to forever, gave me what I think is the perfect vocal signature for my voice, and it ties in exactly with what it is you were saying, Peter. She said that my voice, it's approachable intelligence. Now, that doesn't mean that I am intelligent. I could be as dumb as a bag of doorknobs, but I sound like I'm intelligent. And what's nice about that is it's also not off-putting, because we've all been lectured by people who are so bright, so intelligent, and yet it's so irritating because they're lecturing you. They're not including you. And with my voice, it sounds like I know what I'm talking about. You know, just between you and I do know what I'm talking about. But it's also very approachable. It's like I'm inviting you in, and I am sharing the journey with you. We're going on this together.
Yeah,
So it ties in exactly with what it is you were saying, and I
it's
appreciate it.
exactly what
A
it
lot of,
feels
lot of
like.
people say, without you, Robert, the show wouldn't be the same.
Yeah, because there's even shows that I've turned off completely. I'm really interested in what's going on and the subject matter, but then the voiceover kicks in, and I'm like, I can't
Yeah,
watch this.
yeah. I remember that one time the late producer of Ancient Aliens, Kevin Burns, who passed away a couple of years ago. He at the very early on, he would write all the episodes. He'd go, and he would have, at the beginning it was tough to find topics because it was, now it's mainstream, but at the time he goes, and I'd write this stuff and I think, oh my goodness, this is all such drivel. And he goes, and then I hear you say it, and I think, wow, maybe it is possible. So I do add a little legitimacy to it, but I think the people that are on the show, the experts that are on it, they are all incredibly credible sources. They do know what it is they're talking about, and they are all brilliant. And Nick Pope and Linda and Giorgio and Jason, and it goes on and on. They're truly fascinating, and it all just kind of works. I mean, everybody is an A personality, but everybody gets along. They have disagreements, but they're intellectual disagreements. There's passion behind it, but they change their opinions quite often. It's a fascinating
Wouldn't it be
group.
great if the whole world could work that way?
If the whole world was just like the cast of Ancient Aliens,
Yeah.
yeah, and then I would just narrate everybody's, personal lives. What shall I have this morning? Thinking cereal. Well, but the milk is turned. Now what?
Exactly. That sounds like paradise to me, where people are allowed to have their thoughts and opinions and express those thoughts and opinions, have conversations, and maybe even sometimes arguments
Yeah,
about, but there's a respect level
yeah.
and there's an understanding, and we also understand too that we have far more in common than we don't.
That is true. That is true. We do have, and we forget that. Um, there is actually a there was a study, a genetic study, that found that every human on the planet, you take their, go back in time, follow that the branches of that family tree. It all leads back to one mother, and this female was in Africa, and she is basically the mother
Oh
to
yeah,
all of it.
mitochondrial Eve, right? I
There you
think that's
go.
what they.
Exactly. There you go. And so we all share that in common, and we on a not even on a daily basis, on a fraction of a second by fraction of a second basis, we forget that.
Well, I mean, if almost all the presidents can be related, so can we.
There you go. There you go. I think my father was a genealogist. I think he found some weird connection between our family and Zachary Taylor or something, one of the
Oh, interesting.
lesser known presidents. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It is funny. We're all tied together in more ways than we really
Yeah.
think, and
And-
and there's forces at play that work very hard at making sure we forget that
Yeah,
sometimes.
and we're just on this blue marble in the middle of space. It's a tiny little what what do they say, like an insignificant planet, or in a
We're a
insignificant
cosmic speck.
galaxy, or
Yeah. It really is. It's and that's what I love so much about the show as well, because of the fact that it does give a sense of perspective to
yeah.
making almost making, let's face it, making the impossible seem possible, which I think is so important as well. It's so important for people to feel like we haven't figured everything out yet. There's still things to discover. There's still things to wonder about, and there's still imagination that you can be taken over by and be inspired by such subjects, and to see that they even tie into something relevant and truthful, I think is incredible. For you, is there anything that's like a favorite of you when there's a topic that comes up, or after you've read through an episode, you go back and you're just like, wow, that was incredible.
Well, there's a couple of things. One thing, I'll tell you something very specific that really surprised me. We did an episode, about the pyramids. I mean, we've done several episodes about the pyramids, but there was one fact about the Great Pyramid of Giza, that where it is on the planet, if you take the latitude and longitude of where that particular pyramid is, it's the speed of light in meters per second. What are the odds of that? What It's like, whoa, wait a minute. So if it was like 2 miles, this to the north, it wouldn't be. If a mile this, it wouldn't be. But from where it is, what? How is that possible? How is that just pure luck? The Egyptians or whomever built it decided, let's put it here. This looks good. you know,
Yeah, it's incredibly strange.
yeah, incredibly strange. And my favorite episodes, because I find it fascinating, is the moon. I think the moon is incredible. It's in the sky. I think on Sunday it's going to be a full moon. Just the fact that we just had a solar eclipse like last week, and the only reason we have that is because the sun is the size that it is, the moon is exactly the size that it is, and is in exactly that position.
Yeah,
If it was
the moon
further
doesn't
away, it
make
wouldn't be. If it
sense,
was
man.
closer, it wouldn't be. If it was bigger, it's like, it makes no sense. And it's unlike any other moon that we know of. It's
Yeah.
so unique.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense in terms of our solar system with the other moons on the planets.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense with exactly what you're talking about, where it's the distance of it is just right to
Yeah.
cover up something that's so much further away and would bring light and life
I
to
mean,
our
if we
planet.
had multiple moons, how would we have tides? I mean, it's so interesting. I spoke to a woman, became friends with this woman who worked at NASA, and back in the '70s, she was working, and into the '80s as well. She worked on like the Apollo missions, and I was asking her. I said, when the astronauts landed on the moon, what was surprising? What did they not expect? And they said, well, first of all, we didn't expect that there would just be this fairly thin layer of dust on the moon. You'd think that there would, you'd step off the lander and you'd be stepping into like a snowdrift. You'd just like sink, but it's not the case. And that there are no really super, super deep craters on the moon. I went, oh, okay. And then she told me a story that blew my mind. Because we were at a convention that was in Dallas, And she was walking away. She came there. She was a fan of the show, and she just wanted to take a picture and say hi. And as she was walking away, I asked her, "Did anything ever happen while you were at NASA that you wanted to talk about, but you couldn't talk about, that maybe you can talk about now?" And she paused for a moment, and she said, "Well, the statute of limitations is, whatever it is." She goes, "Yeah, I guess I can tell you this." And she told me a story about, I guess it was Apollo 17, and the Ron Evans, who was the command module pilot. This was the mission where they drove on the moon with a moon buggy, and so they were up there for a long time. And Ron Evans, who was the command module pilot, his job was just to stay in the command module, orbit the moon while the other two guys are having all the fun. Well, he comes, and this guy was a fighter pilot in Vietnam, so he's not a pussy. Okay, he's a guy that has seen combat. He's tough. He's not easily rattled. Well, he comes around from the dark side of the moon. When he's on the dark side of the moon, he's out of radio contact. Nobody can communicate with him. And also at this time, this was, this may have been the last Apollo mission or next to the last. The public had kind of gotten used to it. It was not that big a deal. Apollo 11 was a big deal. Apollo 13 was a big deal. But after it was like 14, 15, 16, people were like, okay, they're on the moon again. Well, he comes from the backside of the moon, and his job was to check in with the commander of the mission who was down on the moon. I can't remember his name. And the fellow on the moon says, "Hey, Ron, how's it going up there? You getting lonely?" And Ron Evans says, "I'm not alone." Now, at that moment, mission control.
That's when they cut the feed, right?
Yeah,
I think I remember this.
Switched to a more secure feed. Now, this woman that I know, her job was to monitor the vital signs of the astronauts. So she was, when you see the movie Apollo 11, that all the people that are seeing those computers, she's one of those people, and her job is to monitor their vitals, the breathing, their heart rate, all the stuff. When they said switch to a secure channel, she switched to the secure channel. And mission control said, "Ron, what are you talking about? You joking?" And he says, "No, I'm not joking." And they said, "Well, what are you seeing?" He says, "Something is following me." And he described it. Now, when he would go on a fighter mission, before he would eat, the food that he would eat before he would go on a fighter mission as good luck was an Oscar Mayer wiener. So he said, it's kind of like an Oscar Mayer wiener. Now, she told me the two most common forms of UFOs are either a cigar shape, which would be like a sausage, like a Oscar Mayer wiener, or a triangle shape. So this fit into that first category. The command module, I think, was like 17 feet from stem to stern. He estimated this to be about 40 feet in length. He said it had acrylic markings on it, something on the side of it. And he said, it's not Russian. It's not one of ours. It followed him in formation for, she told me, 3.5 orbits around the moon and then just flew off. She was not an eyewitness, but an ear witness. So it's firsthand when she was telling me this. She had no agenda other than I happened to ask a question. And
Wow.
She later on spoke to Ron Evans about it. He was definitely rattled by it. I asked her what their attitude was about it. She said that they had a private meeting for everyone who was privy to the conversation. And they said, don't talk about it. Not because they are, they wanted to keep it secret, but she said that NASA, our job was to merely gather the information. We were not going to give a hypothesis as to what happened. We weren't going to speculate. So that's what they told us. They said, don't speculate. Let us get the information. We'll give it to the brain trust and they can figure it out. But that is another reason why the moon to me is so freaking fascinating, because there's so many things that happen up there. And you talk to those astronauts, and she spoke to many of the astronauts. Something happens when you're out in space. Why did Neil Armstrong not, just want to constantly tell the story about landing on the moon till the day he died? Why did he say, you know what? Because he changed. Something changed up there. They either saw something, had some kind of an experience that either unsettled them or just change them in a way that we can't even fathom. So
Yeah, I mean, even Edgar Mitchell, he's famous for a lot of different
yeah,
reports on
yeah,
things.
yeah,
Man. Yeah, the moon is funky, man. The moon is it's something where if you think about it too long, I think it could drive you insane.
yeah.
Maybe you become a lunatic.
Oh, I like that, man.
But
I'd moon you right now, but we're we're live. I think I would lose
Robert,
a lot of fans.
you already dropped a P bomb on this
Oh,
show.
oh, I
So,
did.
yeah,
Uh-oh.
yeah. But it's of all people too. I've had people on this show where I've had to be like, "Ooh, I should have told you, no F bombs." I don't expect any F bombs out of you
No,
necessarily.
my goodness, no.
But it's a day that will forever live in not in infamy, but in I guess it's a special day. But yeah,
Yeah,
I've had
the FCC was up your, you know what, and
yeah, exactly. They come down on you real hard.
yeah, yeah.
That's how it is. These guys. I've had years ago on this show. I had an individual. It was a call-in show, and they came on camera, and they did. It was a full moon that night.
Uh-huh.
So
Strange things happen. Yeah, and think about it. I mean, it's very influential. The moon tides. I mean, it affects your
oh
moods.
yeah.
It's
I mean, without the moon, I don't even think we have life on this planet. To be perfectly honest, it seems like it was positioned in a way. Like something brought it here or came in there because it's also that whole thing where it rings like a bell.
this woman
That
said she
seismic
heard the
reading
ringing of the moon. She's heard it.
yeah.
So
And then the fact that it's tidal locked and all you do is see the one side of it the whole time, and that doesn't make any sense
no,
considering the scale of the Earth to the moon.
yeah, yeah. Just saying. That's my my favorite topic. My least favorite. I know you're going to hate this. Is we did one about Bigfoot. I thought that might have been a little bit of a
Oh,
stretch.
why'd you hate it? Because I wasn't a big fan of that episode either.
No, it was. I can't say I hated it. It was just. I said my least favorite. My least favorite, only because we were uh, drawing, or some people, some theorists, perhaps, were unnamed theorists, some kind of a connection between, an alien hybrid human experiment gone haywire, and that's was the birth of Bigfoot. It's just this,
Sounds like
crazy.
something out of a comic book.
Yeah, something that got out of the cage and escaped from the lab, and now it's in the Northwest. But listen, I also did a documentary for a different channel on Bigfoot versus Yeti, which was actually kind of interesting.
Mm.
Where what would happen if there was basically a cage match between Bigfoot and Yeti? Who would win? I mean, just think about that. The pluses and minuses of each. It's fascinating.
If I had my knee jerk reaction would be the Yeti. I would
Mm.
think the Yeti would win.
All I'm going to say, it was close. It was close. Yeah, it was. It was when they finally did get into it. It was intense. It was intense. I don't want to give it away because, and also, this was just one match. Come on, you can't decide in just one game. You
Yeah.
gotta go back to your
Well,
corner, get with your trainers, your people, come up with a new strategy, and then come back at it. Right?
well, like we say in comics all the time, whoever wins is based on whoever the writer wants to win. They find a way.
There you go. There you go.
It's interesting you bring that up because in issue 5 of King Cryptid, I've got him squaring off with the White Mountain Yeti. This is a
Ooh.
Yeti in the White Mountains of New Hampshire.
Wow. Oh, okay.
And,
All right.
so of course, yeah, King Cryptid's going to win because there's an issue 6. But how does King Cryptid win? That's the thing.
That's the question. And is it close? What if King Cryptid has an off day? He just doesn't have his heart into it.
Exactly. Well, speaking of the moon, King Cryptid gets his powers derived from the moon. He's got a cosmic moonstone embedded right above his third eye. And when it's a full moon, he's supercharged. When there's a new moon or intense cloud coverage and the moon can't actually charge that lunar cell that he's got, he's not as powerful.
That's got to be
So,
rough. That you know. Yeah, I'm just thinking of that, and it's well, so he's got to be getting charged now because the next week it's going to be, he's really going to be on
Yeah, he's
fire.
on the upswing.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. It's yeah. I'm telling you, the moon thing really is. It's interesting. It's forever interested me. I think it's
Yeah.
interested so many of us. You look
Yeah.
up at the night sky, and
Yeah. Yeah.
forever and ever humanity interested by the sun and the moon.
Yeah.
Now, getting back a bit to
Hmm.
your career and
Hmm.
establishing yourself as a voice actor.
Hmm.
When did that come about? Did you realize one day, hey, I kind of sound good, or did somebody tell you that your voice would
Well,
be good for certain things?
it's a lot of people think that to be successful in voiceover, you just need to have a voice. I can't tell you how many how many people come up to me, but the kind of like the joke in voiceover is the first thing somebody says is, "People tell me I have a nice voice," or "People tell me I have a good voice," or "People tell me I go, well, that's nice. It helps to have a good voice, but what is a good voice? Um, would you consider what's his name? Oh goodness, you know, it does. Oh God, I'm drawing a blank here.
Who are you trying to
It
think
does.
of?
The guy was the Affleck duck. It's
Gilbert
yeah,
Gottfried.
Gilbert Gottfried. Would you consider Gilbert Gottfried to have a good voice? Probably not. Yet he was the voice of the Affleck duck for years and made a ton of money. And
Very memorable voice.
he made a lot of money doing voiceover. Um, the key to being a good voice actor, first of all, we like to say that the microphone is a great BS detector. There's nothing to hide behind. You can't hide behind the way that you look when you're with your voice, because it's not a factor. And there's something magical about the voice when you hear it. It gets into your brain as a listener. It resonates in there. That's why oftentimes you'll hear a song or a singer or hear somebody speak, and it just has something magical that's in there, and then you see them, and there's this disconnect because, oh, I didn't think you would look that way. I thought you would look different. All of a sudden now you have to kind of make the two somehow fit, but there's a little, still going to be a little bit of a disconnect there. Um, one and since the microphone is very sensitive, that there's nothing between you and the audience, uh, and it can tell when you're not being truthful. And when I say not being truthful, I mean that you're not speaking your truth. You're not speaking from a place of
Sincerity.
of who you are. It's not even sincerity. It's just a matter of, you have to be real. You have to be an actual person, which means you have to be in touch with who you are, why you think the way that you think, why you do the things that you do. What is it about you that you admire? What is it about that you don't like? What are your weaknesses? What are your strengths? You really, it's almost like a psychological evaluation of who you are. And to do that, the people that are really good at it are the really, really good actors. When you think about, if you're a bad actor and you try to do voiceover, you may have a great voice, but it's just not going to ring true. It's going to ring hollow. You're going to go like the moon. You're just going to go. You're just going to. It's just not there. There's just nothing there. And and the people that I've worked with that are really successful, they're all incredible actors, phenomenal actors. I worked on a movie. Just did some. This was a couple of years ago. It was one of those XXX movies. Not like a dirty film, but it was like Xander Cage, XXX, whatever.
Robert CLOTWORTHY.
Yeah, really. No, yeah. My goodness, that
I worked on one of them XXX features.
Yeah, I think that's
nobody clipped that. Please.
Oh my God, I just ruined my career. Well, it's nice knowing everybody. I just let the cat out of the bag. No, it was like Xander Cage. I think it was. I remember the logo was 3 X's.
Yeah. Vin Diesel and all that.
Whatever it was. And And we were there, and we were doing ADR on the film. And when you do ADR, ADR stands for automated dialogue replacement. Basically, when they shoot a movie, and let's say it's in a restaurant, the two leads are at the table, and they're having a conversation, but you see a waiter going behind, you see people at other tables having conversations, toasting, whatever it might be. Well, when they actually film that scene, they can't have everybody talking because you're not going to get a clean recording of the dialogue that matters, which is what the two stars are saying. So what you do is you bring in actors to fill in all that other stuff. You'll say, okay, Robert, you be the the waiter that goes up that table, go up and say something to them, and Chuck, you're the guy that makes an order, and Susan, you say you don't like the salad, whatever the heck it is, and you make up stuff. So we were doing this one scene. Then that's the boring stuff. The fun stuff is when you get to do the grunts and the groans. That's when, let's say, it's an action scene and the motorcycle guy gets shot, and he has to go. He does like this great stunt where he flips off the motorcycle and hits a car. And they say, okay, Robert, we need a sound for that guy, and he'll go, you make up some kind of stuff. So we were all doing that silly, stupid stuff. And there was this one guy that was there. I mean, we're just grunting and groaning. I mean, I get to talking to him a little bit, and he tells me he's about to go to New York because he's starring in Miss Saigon, the Broadway revival of Miss Saigon, and that he was reprising his role that he performed at the West End in London, where he was nominated for an Olivier Award. Now, the Olivier Award would be our equivalent to the Tony. So I'm thinking, this guy, nominated for an Olivier Award, is about to go star in Andrew Lloyd Webber's revival of Miss Saigon on Broadway. And he and I are in the same room going, oh, So I thought, you know what? Actors who want to get into the biz need to know the level of talent that's out there, because the competition is fierce. People are good. I've worked with people, graduates of the Yale Drama School, Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts, people that have tons of theatrical credits, are in plays all the time. These are phenomenal actors, and you have to be that good to because that's the competition. That's what's out there. So people think you can just kind of stumble into it. Yeah, every once in a while somebody gets lucky and they just they just try it, and yeah, you get picked, and that's it. Like the guy who is the voice of Jack in Jack in the Box. He was the guy. He wasn't even an actor. He was like the art director or something. Worked for the ad agency, and he was the temp voice. They liked it, and he's still the guy. But that's not even a Hail Mary pass. That's like literally winning the Powerball. I mean, that's just doesn't happen. Then for having to go that many years, and I'm sure he would be the first to admit that, hey, dude, I'm not an actor, man. I just happen to be there. So lightning can strike, but you have to put in the work. You have to become a good actor if you want to have any real shot of not only being successful, but being able to sustain the career. I mean, I've done a lot of plays when I did a lot of acting classes, studied with a lot of people, have worked on a lot of TV shows. I was able to work with Clint Eastwood and Bradley Cooper in American Sniper. Did a scene with Bradley and I. It was, they showed the scene at the Academy Awards. I mean, you've got to have and I'm just one of those guys that, gets a gig every once in a while. That's the challenge. That's the difficult aspect of it that people don't truly understand. So how did I start? Man, the body of work kind of like directed me in a certain direction. And I'm also a believer that when a door opens, you walk through it. If all of a sudden it's like, hey, here's an opportunity to do this, you do it. The only time I've ever regretted stuff is when I said no. I said no, I think, to Seinfeld, being on Seinfeld twice.
Wow.
Idiot. And the first time
How could you be so stupid, Robert?
Yeah, the first season, well, the money wasn't that good. The part could be better. It's like, okay. The next time it was, I can, whatever. If you walk through that door that's open for you, I think there's a higher likelihood for you to be successful. Too often people are,
Yeah.
myopic. They go, "This is the door I want. I want this. I want the movie star door." And they ignore all the other stuff. Everybody's going, "Come on, if you do this, we want you. We don't want you
Yeah.
as that." Because there's people that they want to be the lead, but they're really better suited as the best friend of the lead. And the best friend of the lead gets just as much work. He makes, well, not quite as much money, but man, you do pretty well.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we see this in comics all the time
Yeah.
where people they don't want to work on certain stories, or they don't want to even pursue their own stories sometime, or when they're just starting out, they go, "I don't want to work for exposure," but they don't know what the hell they're doing.
Yeah.
So they just keep on not getting work because no one wants to pay them either because they're just not good.
Yeah.
And they don't have a resume, they don't have a portfolio, so they got to end up working either for themselves for free and build up something,
Yeah.
or take on someone who's willing to take that risk.
Yeah.
And they keep closing the various opportunities afforded to them, and all of a sudden they look at other people, they get upset about it, and why is that person succeeding, whatever. And it's because they're working their butt off, they're putting in the time, they're putting in the effort, and
Yeah.
they're even learning more about their craft. Because the stuff you're talking about too with the sound effect part, it reminds me of in comics when people, they want to draw the cover, they want to draw the splashy cover, they're good at drawing figures and a cool scene or a cool character, but they don't want to draw backgrounds, and they don't want to draw panels, and they don't want to draw storytelling, and that's boring. And the thing is what you're doing with voice acting. Yeah, you want to sit there and you want to do what you want to do, but there's stuff that you have to do to tell the overall story and help that come to life. And if you don't want to do that, and you're not good at that, or you just don't even want to go near it, you're going to lose a lot out of it because of it.
Yeah. You got to think long term. You need to stay in the game. If you're in the game, a good friend is an actor, and he's the only one I know who has been doing it as long as I have, maybe even a little bit longer. And he says the trick is to be in the room. If you're not in the room, meaning the casting room, if you're not in the room, you have no chance. So you have to do what it takes to keep getting into the room. If you want those opportunities, and those opportunities will continue to come, but you're going to have a lot of frustration. You're going to have a lot of rejection, but that's the nature of the biz, whether it's voice acting or in the comic biz. My first girlfriend in high school, her father was one of Disney's Imagineers. But he started out, when he first got a gig at Disney, he did, the original 101 Dalmatians. He did the spots on the Dalmatians. That's all he did was the spots. He had to draw circles all day long. But he learned from that, and he recently passed away. But he is now one of the grand masters. If you go to the Haunted Mansion, he designed it. You look at It's a Small World, that's his work. Tiki Room, that's his work. I mean, Roland Crump. If you go to Disneyland, and I did go there a few weeks ago, if you go down Main Street, they have these windows, these fake windows in different shops. His name is up there. Roland Crump, Painless Dentist, or whatever it is. But you have to put in the work. If he went in there with an attitude and said, "Oh, that's beneath me. I'm not going to do that," he wouldn't have gotten the job. Somebody else who's hungry would have taken it, and he would have been just this bitter guy that had a lot of talent that never really amounted to a whole heck of a lot. You've got to understand that there's work involved in this, and
Yeah, that attitude, that mindset, so important.
yeah, and there are other people that are willing to do the work. That's even more important. You think that the world owes it to you just because you have talent? No friggin' way. If I, God forbid, if I passed away tomorrow, they'd find somebody else to do Ancient Aliens. If I didn't get Ancient Aliens when I initially did, somebody else would have been hired to do it. Maybe it wouldn't have been as successful. Maybe it would have been more successful. Who knows? But all of us are replaceable. And if you humble up a little bit, understand that, and put in the work that's necessary, plus have a good attitude about working, be happy that you're there. My theatrical agent, he started out as the receptionist at the office. He now owns the place. I
Wow.
became friends with him not because I had an itinerary here or an agenda. I just became friends with him, and we continue to become friends. And now he's in a position where I don't have to worry about that anymore. So you need to build relationships, and you're going to plant a lot of seeds. Not all of them are going to bear fruit, but if you follow that path, the chances of you being successful are exponentially greater.
100%, man. Yeah, and an attitude of gratitude is man, that's like the best thing you can have
Yes.
is to just move forward like that. There's so many people who get in a miserable mindset
Yeah.
and then just become a self-fulfilling prophecy where
Yeah.
everything is just it's bad. They keep perpetuating that attitude. They're not grateful for what comes along or the people who appreciate and support them, and
Hmm.
it's always they want more.
Yeah.
It's never
Yeah.
enough. They don't appreciate what they have, and you see it time and again, and it's a shame because, like you said, there's very talented people
Hmm.
who they just don't get it. They
Yeah.
just can't get it. And
Well, they need to
yeah,
understand the difference. There's a difference between what it is you want and what it is you need. Two different things. People think want is need. No, you want this. Well, you may not need it. So let's not focus on that. That's something you can desire. You can work towards. But nobody owes that to you. What do you really need to get through today? Focus on that. The wants will eventually come to you, and you'll figure out a way to get that stuff. But you got to put in the time, the effort, and the work that's necessary.
absolutely. Art and Times of Jay Ryan. We kind of got that out of the way in the first 5 minutes.
The
But
answer to that is no one. No one said ancient astronaut theorists say yes. No, no. The answer is no.
sorry. No, yeah. Robert did a whole thing.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I
on
gave
his
you
grave.
you know previews of coming attractions. I told you all the inside scoop. Yeah, I'm
In a
sorry you missed it.
world.
Sorry you missed it. Sorry.
Did you ever want to be the in the world guy?
Oh, Don
Remember that?
LaFontaine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a good friend that was one of his best buddies. He was amazing. I think he still holds the record for the most SAG contracts, the Screen Actors Guild contracts ever signed. It's like 100,000 contracts, some crazy number, because he would work 6, 7, 10 times a day. Prior to when we all have our own private home studios now, he would have a car. He'd have a limo that would take him from session to session, and he would basically go and he did a lot of work at the studio that I record Ancient Aliens and the Curse of Oak Island in. And they say he would come in, he'd do his thing, he'd do like maybe 1 or 2 takes, then he would go downstairs, sit and wait by the fax machine for the contract to come in, sign it, then he's gone.
Incredible.
Yeah,
In a world where you get
in a
to do
world,
that.
in a world. Yeah, only Don, and he didn't start out as an actor. I think he was an ad agency guy as well. He just kind of stumbled into it, and they said, "Hey,
Wow.
Don," and he just had this amazing natural ability. He was
There
a
you
true
go.
unicorn.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's see. We got about 5 more minutes. I got to
Yeah.
squeeze a lot of
Oh, yeah.
juice
Okay.
out of you for those
Okay.
5
All right.
minutes. All right. One thing that I really want to get to here, and you don't have to name names, you don't have to name the show, whatever it might have been, was a positive, like the best experience you ever had, and then the worst.
Well, there are a
And,
lot
and,
of
and okay, not saying Ancient Aliens.
okay.
We'll
Yeah.
say Ancient Aliens is the
There's a
best.
lot of bests. I mean, because working on those shows and to be able to work as long as I have and with the people that I have is so rare. It's always going to be near and dear to me. Um, Creatively working with Clint Eastwood and Bradley Cooper on American Sniper was a truly amazing experience. And one of the things that was so incredible about it, first of all, you don't get to meet Clint or Mr. Eastwood prior to working. He did not like auditioning as an actor. He doesn't want to have actors come in and so he videotaped the stuff. He makes his decisions. You come in, and just before, and it was a scripted scene. And before I was going to start it, before I was going to do it, the writer came up to me and said, "Robert, Bradley wants to expand on the scene." I thought, oh, what does that mean? Is he going to rewrite the whole thing? I'm already nervous. And he says, no, no, no. We want to just improvise it, because there's a lot of story points that you can't really show in the film, like how long a tour of duty is. So we want to bring in some of that stuff. So I went, oh, so for me that was a dream. So if you watch that scene, and it was Mr. Eastwood's favorite scene in the movie, Bradley and I improvised that entire scene, and it was, you think that would be a moment of high anxiety, but it was actually exactly the opposite, because Clint Eastwood is so good, sets such a relaxed atmosphere on the set, and Bradley Cooper is such an incredible actor. He's so present, he's so real, that it just made it so easy. The two of us were just talking, and the first line that I say to him, I'm playing his therapist, and I thought, we've all been to therapy. I'm sure, Peter, if you haven't been to therapy, you need to go. So the first thing I thought was, well, how can I trip him up? What would be a thing that a therapist could say to you that would really let you know that the jig is up? And I knew what happened prior to that, and it was this horrible scene where he almost beat a dog, and his wife was in a panic. And the first thing I said to him was, your wife called me. And you could see in Bradley's eyes, he just kind of went like the irises. I mean, he's that good. The irises just kind of expanded, because he knew that the jig was up. He couldn't lie to me. So he had to go with that. So that was an amazing experience to work with them. As far as the worst, it's probably, it was like an old TV show. I can't remember what the heck the name of it was, but you work hard as a guest actor on the series. You've got, you go in there, you're only working a day or a few days or whatever it is. You don't really get into the rhythm of the set, and everybody's not your friend. And usually the series regulars, if you have a scene with them, we do, you do your covered shot, which is your wider angle. Then you go in for your close-ups, and they always try to get the close-ups of the star first, and then they do you afterwards. And generally, as a courtesy, the star will usually stay there and read their lines off camera for you. And I remember this one actress, she just, she needed to get her nails done, or she just had something else to do, whatever it was, she just kind of bailed on me. And I think my part of the scene carried most of the dialogue. Hers was just kind of reaction stuff. But she decided, I don't need to do this for you. And I thought that was kind of, discourteous at best. That that she wasn't willing to kind of stick with me. I was there for her close up. I was giving it my all, trying to help her to get to that point she needed to be as an actor, and she was not willing to return it. So that,
Robert, have you tried calling her out on Twitter? Cash in on those victim bucks.
Bitter party of one now. Yeah, right. No,
there was that time
all good.
40 years ago when
when I see her at the old age home, I'll say, "Hey, remember this?" And she won't remember me at all. But listen, I was still on the show. Listen, am I going to really
there you go
complain too much? One time, I think it was the first commercial I ever did. I was going to go to see the Who. The Who was my favorite band at that time, and the commercial went an extra day, and great I was band. 15 years old. Couldn't and because they can only work for a certain number of hours, and they were going to bring me back a second day to work. My father said, "You can't go to the concert." I said, "What?" He says, "No, you've got to work tomorrow. You got to work at 7 a.m. You can't go to the concert." So at an early age, first commercial, I understood what that you have to sacrifice as well. You don't get everything that you want, but you will probably get what you need, as the song says.
That's the Stones,
as the Stones say, right?
Man, oh man, this has been great. One question from the chat here. We got Yan Zhao says, which of the ancient alien stories changed your opinion about the topic?
Oh, okay. Well, I have to walk a little bit of a fine line, because I am the voice of the writer, and the creator of the show, Kevin Burns. He would tell me that his attitude was he's an agnostic, but open to the information. So I've tried to stay true to that, because if I go all in, then that's going to change the way that I'm going to convey the information. That it's going my narration would be different. Now I'm trying to sell you on something. If I was a skeptic, that would again would taint it. So I can't as an actor go all in. But I have to tell you that spending time with the theorists that I have, and I've become very good friends with Giorgio, and having met this woman that worked at NASA that was on the inside, who had personal experience, and I actually was able to get her on the show. It certainly has opened my eyes, and a lot of people have come up to me at different conventions, told me their stories, experiences that they've had, and they can't be denied. So I still have to kind of walk that fine line because I'm on a journey with you. You know, there's more information to be out there. I'm not like all in because all the answers have been given. There's no more questions to ask. It's all known, because it's not. The information is still coming out. It's I think it's like the story of the Dutch boy who keeps trying to put his fingers in the dike and the water's going through. I mean, eventually it's all just going to come out. And I've talked to Georgia, I've talked to Nick, and man, the truth is not only out there, but it is about to be revealed. It's coming out.
Oh yeah, we're seeing it constantly.
Yeah,
It's
Travis Taylor's become a friend. He tells me,
oh yeah,
this guy is a true rocket scientist, and he
Yep.
says, Robert, these things that happen, they defy the laws of physics as we know them. Something's going on.
That's a key fact as
Yeah.
we know them.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, we really have to understand that sometimes on some things we just don't know as much as we think we do, and on other things we just don't know anything at all. And
we
that's
are.
okay.
Yeah, we're just scratching the surface of the information, and that's what makes exploration. You talked about at the beginning, curiosity, exploration. We're a curious species, and I think it would be rather boring to know all the answers. I that's a great point. Knowledge is knowing what little you know, what you don't know, and admitting, and being curious and trying to discover and changing your opinion. And I love my favorite question as a kid growing up was why. I know it's irritating when kids go why, but I still do that as an adult because I want to know why things happen. Why do we feel this way about certain things and not feel a certain way about something else? What makes us all different? It's asking those questions that I think keep us moving forward. If we stop asking questions, then we've reached the end of knowledge. I mean, come on, like you gotta push the envelope. You gotta go a little bit further.
And
you gotta move the needle forward a little bit.
Absolutely. Yeah, and there's a lot of frightening prospects of things occurring nowadays where there's certain paradigms in place that really want it that you don't ask questions anymore.
Yeah.
And you trust the authoritative answer, whatever that may be. And
Yeah.
it's that's a frightening world to live in. To just sit there and go, nope, that's it, the one answer, done.
Yeah.
Don't ask anything else about it.
You got to grow. It's all about growth and learning, and becoming wise as you get that information. Don't get too set in your ways, because chances are you're going to be wrong.
Absolutely.
The 40-year-old is going to look at the 20-year-old and go, "You're an idiot." The 20-year-old is going to look at the 10-year-old version of yourself and go, "You're a fool." We all think we know what we're talking about at whatever age we're at, but as you get a little bit older, you realize, oh man, I didn't really get it. Maybe I knew a little bit more than the average fool, but
truer words.
Yeah.
Now, Robert, I know you agreed to an hour.
Yeah.
We got a couple people in here asking questions.
Sure, let's do a couple of questions. Then I got a jet. Yeah.
Okay. Comics for Life says, going into Ancient Aliens. Were you into aliens?
Oh yeah, yeah. Of course, I had read Chariots of the Gods when I was in junior high school. I've always been curious about the moon. I think all of us, we kind of look at the night sky and think, what's out there? How far away is that? And so yeah, in a simple word, yes. The answer is yes. So it kind of worked out well that it was a topic that I was greatly interested in. Yeah.
Let's see. The Green Laser, a question about Oak Island. There we go. The other show that you narrate as well says, have they found the main treasure of Oak Island, or are they still hunting for it?
The main treasure. Well, we're right in the middle of the new season. It hasn't aired yet. I think I'm like 5 or 6 episodes in to I think, which is like a 25 or 26 episode season. So I don't know what, and I don't want to know what's happened. So I'll put it this way: they're making progress. The guys, meaning Gary Drayton, pardon me, Gary Drayton, Rick and Marty Lagina, Gary Drayton, everybody that's on the show, these guys are completely legit. They are seriously searching for something that's there. And there have been so many mysteries about this island over the last 200 and some odd years. Why do people keep going to this place? Why are they convinced that something is there? And we keep finding incredible clues, things that make no sense as to why, a Roman coin from 300 BC is going to be on Oak Island. What the heck is that doing there? So we're still searching. This is a show about searching for treasure and seeing how people work together to try to discover something. These people are modern day explorers, and they're able to do it on a scale where they're not restricted economically because they have the funds to be able to do this on a scale that we could only dream of. But who hasn't wanted at some point in their life to take a metal detector, and that's another reason why I got the show, I was able to say metal detector, and go into the backyard and see if they can dig up something. I mean, there are treasures all around us and waiting to be discovered. And so I love the show. It's incredibly popular. We get close to 3 million people tuning in each and every week. So we're doing something right.
Wow.
It's unbelievably successful. And a lot of it is the personalities of the guys. And I'll take a little small piece of credit for making it as popular.
Absolutely.
But it's a really fascinating show.
What Geeks Do Network says, Robert, have you read any Richard C. Hoagland? And if so, what are your thoughts on his work?
No, I'm a little bit out of the loop on that one. I apologize. Now I'm going to feel horrible. And I'm actually looking for a new book to read. So maybe I should pick up one of those and take a gander at it.
Yeah, I guess so. I haven't read anything from, or maybe, I don't know. I might be aware of some of the work. Put some titles in there. What Geeks Do. What do you recommend? What do you recommend? But that both I and Robert check out. One other question. We'll do this. The last one. Yeah. Comics for Life says, was there a case you felt was hard to believe?
Well, we talked a little bit about Bigfoot. That was the one that I thought we just went a little too far. That the reason for Bigfoot was it was a alien hybrid human experiment gone wrong.
What are your thoughts on Bigfoot? What do you think is going on there?
Well, I've actually met I think it was the son of the fellow whose father made the famous Bigfoot film.
Oh, the Patterson Gimlin
film.
Yeah,
because it was like his kid, or because at one of the conventions, why? Of course. Yeah, there's things out there that we can't explain. Why wouldn't there be something out there that's just well hidden? We just haven't found it yet. I mean, every time you dig deeper in the earth, you find something that's older. You never hit well, that's it. We've reached it. There's nothing older than this. So, do I think that Bigfoot exists? Absolutely. Why not?
Do you have a theory?
Listening? I'm on your side, pal.
Do you have a theory, Robert Clotworthy?
About Bigfoot?
About Bigfoot?
I think. Oh man, I know. I really don't. I'm kind of struggling to see what the theory would be, as to why they're not. Maybe we just haven't been in the right place at the right time to really see them.
There's all kinds, right? There's like the missing link, the interdimensional being. We're seeing ghosts.
Yeah, I've got my plate full with interdimensional beings. Okay.
Get in line, Squatchy.
Yeah, Bigfoot is just
Yeah.
just not on the radar yet. It'll eventually get there once I get past the interdimensional beings.
Spicer, thank you so much for gifting 10 memberships to the people of the channel. I appreciate that. Kier
cool.
says, Kier's an artist on King Cryptid. Says, Robert, believe in King Cryptid.
Absolutely, I'm there.
There you go.
I'm convinced.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. There's something to it. And I got one question for you.
Yeah.
Maybe take you 5 minutes to answer, and then that's
Okay.
it. And this is, I have to ask this. Have you ever had an experience, paranormal, whatever, supernatural, something you couldn't explain?
Other than why I was cast as the voice of ancient aliens.
Oh, bish.
Oh, hello.
That's quantifiable.
No, oh.
Any that really,
No, you know, and somebody asked me that before, and here was the answer I came up with, because I started thinking about it. I said no, and you'd think of all the people that should have an experience, it should be me. I'm the narrator of Ancient Aliens. I've got Giorgio Tsoukalos on speed dial. I could get you on the show in a heartbeat, and you're not contacting me. I'm putting out a call right now. Any aliens that are out there, visitors from another planet, contact me. Robert, you can. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, on X, whatever it is. Contact me, and let's talk. No probing, but let's talk.
Ghosts, creatures, shadow people, etc. Nothing that you could
Oh, now it's
say.
getting scary. Well,
yeah, anything that you could say that I don't know what the hell that was.
Well, I'm going to make a joke. I mean, I live in Los Angeles, so I drive down this street and I wonder what the heck is going on a daily basis. But yeah, there's. I think there are. I think I'll put it to you this way. I think they are among us. How about that? They're here.
Man, oh man.
All right.
Robert, thank you so much, man. This was an absolute pleasure. Fantastic. Great conversation. Everybody in the chat, thank you guys so much as well for your questions and your comments. Really appreciate it. And What Geeks Do Network says, book Dark Mission in the Secret of his Secret History of NASA. So I swear I've heard of that. I got to check that out then.
Oh, goodness. Oh, that sounds good. All right.
Yeah. Man, oh man. There was like about 10 other things I wanted to talk to you about tonight. We'll have to do a different show.
We'll do another one. We'll do a follow-up.
There was so many. I was like, let's keep it on. But you brought up so many great points about so many things, and I was like, well, let's just keep it to that, because we could just go on and on and on.
We'll do it again. That's all it is. If people want to do it, we'll do it.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you so much, Robert. Everybody, again, thank you guys as well. Have a wonderful night. Before we go, Robert, where can they find you?
I'm on Twitter, Facebook. What else am I on? All the social media, Instagram, you name it. I'm on there. Easy to find and follow.
Awesome. And anything you've got coming up that you want to shout out or give?
Well, we've got the new season of Curse of Oak Island. I think is starting November 6th or 7th. Starting to work on a new season of Ancient Aliens in the next couple of weeks. That'll be season, I don't know, 19, 20, whatever the heck it is. Yeah. I'm in the new Hellboy video game that's I think is just coming out.
Oh, nice.
I play, I don't know, some evil Nazi in it or something. It's kind of a oxymoron. Evil Nazi, it's like military intelligence. All Nazis are evil.
It's redundant. There you go.
I'm the bad guy.
Fantastic, man. Awesome. Everybody, have a great night. And Robert, have a great night as well.
Thank you,
and even better tomorrow. Take it easy, guys.